Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are previewing all the games in Week 7. And later in this episode, if you stick to the end, we have a giant argument of football teams playing baseball teams, and then we argue about which cartoons are actually famous, and then we find a guy named Shipwreck Kelly who played for the Brooklyn Dodgers and then became a spy. But first, going to help you figure out your fantasy football start, sit rankings, fantasyfootball.theringer.com for specific start, sit questions. And we update those on Sunday morning, but also make sure to set your lineups on Sunday because there is another London game on Sunday. So make sure you get them set in your lineups before the London game.
Don't wake up for it. You don't have to do this one. You actually don't, especially this week. Not only are we doing a London game at 9:30 Eastern, we have 2 Monday Night Football games. So I know 2 weeks ago it was the longest NFL game or NFL week ever, pretty much, because that Steelers game got delayed. You had the London game. This week you have a London game and 2 Monday night games. Plus there's playoff baseball. There's too much going on.
Watch the Ringer Wise Guys instead. We'll be on Ringer Wise Guys on Sunday, so watch that instead. But yeah, no, we can't. The idea,
skip this
the NFL.
Game.
We got to stop them a little bit. We can't just keep giving them ratings.
Rage against the machine, guys.
3 straight Londons is a lot.
Too many Londons.
Doug Peterson's beans on toast if the Jags lose to the Patriots. Let's be real.
Nice.
Good slang.
Thanks.
I don't know what that means, but
it's English
he's
like toast, but he's beans on toast because they're in England.
I was wondering if it was like one of those rhyming things, English rhyming slang.
No. Drill? Rap?
What? No, there's like, if you're the 6s and 7s or whatever, then you're in heaven, or I don't know. Like they rhyme. You use it to rhyme and say
Kings?
Words. Like Austin Power does that a lot. No, it's like Cockney rhyming slang. Look it up. Read a book.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that.
They
They say words that rhyme with the word they're actually looking to use. Is the very generic.
Someone please email us at rigorfantasyfootball@gmail.com and explain
it's
that.
It's a very common thing that people know.
So instead of like, if I wanted to use the word trash, I would just say a word that rhymes with trash.
Yeah.
To mean trash.
Your bangers and mash. Your trash.
Okay.
For instance. Look, I've never actually spoken in Cockney rhyming slang, but that sounds somewhat accurate.
Okay, well,
I'm sure English people will be mad at it.
All right. Doug Peterson might be bangers and mash after this week.
Yeah, bangers and mash for Doug Peterson. Also, Drake May, he got an MRI this week, which I think is funny. After they're like, no one can start him, he'll get hurt. So we'll see. It's Thursday afternoon. We don't know the deal yet. But if Drake May actually did get hurt the one time they played him, I feel like we'll never hear the end of that shit. So Drake may play, so we don't always hear about that forever. Anything else on this awful London game that no one should even watch, or you guys want to move on?
There's not a lot of fantasy players you want to play in this game. So, Brian Thomas. Maybe that's it.
Evan Ingram and Brian Thomas.
Evan Ingram and Brian
Travis
Thomas.
Etienne's the worst player in fantasy. All right, let's get to game of the year then.
Yeah.
Game of the year?
I agree. Ooh. This might be the game of the year.
Yeah, game of the year. Lions are 4-1. Vikings are 5-0. Vikings and Lions are the top 2 teams in the entire NFL by point differential. Vikings and Lions are both top 4 in explosive plays per Rich Rebar. Like, DK, I feel like this game's about the Vikings defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, versus Jared Goff, the quarterback for the Lions.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And surprisingly, I looked this up. Goff has actually played really well against him, at least last year. The Lions played the Vikings last year twice. And Goff right now is averaging 288 yards per game, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 8 yards attempt, 110 passer rating against Brian Flores defense. Obviously, last year, different story in terms of like how good this Vikings team was. But Goff's EPA per dropback in those 2 games was 0.32. Like, that's elite. Right now, Jaden Daniels is leading the league in EPA per dropback, and it's 0.28. So Goff was very, very good last year against these Vikings. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of like what the Vikings do to combat that.
Minnesota is favored in this game by 2.5 points, which is, I guess it's not surprising. They're at home, but I do think a lot of the public is going to be on the Lions. I feel like they've really performed well in the spotlight lately. I feel like the Lions are the hottest team in the league right now. Goff is playing really well. They're just like a very likable team. But they also just lost Aiden Hutchinson for the season, their top pass rusher. Pass rusher. I almost just said a Chris Collinsworth right there. So I don't know. I do think a lot of the public is going to be on the Lions, which makes me lean towards the Vikings, who I think are a little bit slept on right now.
I mean, but I think the Aiden Hutchinson's injury is tough because, to your point, like Aiden Hutchinson, so he's on injured reserve with a broken leg. He was leading the NFL in sacks and pressures and pressure rate and everything. And it's not just about losing that, but it's about losing whether they can play man coverage or not, because the Lions are basically one of the most man coverage heavy defenses in the NFL. And they're like, I believe, the most man coverage heavy defense in the league on third down. And it's working because they actually are one of the best defenses at getting off on third down. But man coverage requires a pass rush, and now you're losing the best one. And so Hutchinson's down. Also, Kyle Pecco, his defensive tackle, is also an injured reserve this week. And ironically, Pecco has a pec injury. But I'm curious what happens, because the Lions secondary was already really grabby. Like they need the oven mitts. Like they're the one. The Lions defense has the most defensive pass interferences this season, and the Lions had the most defensive holdings. That was with Aiden Hutchinson. So I think that's the question: is like, can they play man coverage? And then what's going to happen to this? Like it's actually more about the secondary and the effect, because I feel like there's a chance Darnold has all day.
There's a reason why Vegas has the Vikings by 2.5.
Yeah, I think, yeah. And the other thing, I just have to throw at DK, you're right about the Brian Flores thing. Like, Goff played well against the Vikings last year. I think the Vikings defensive personnel was worse last year.
Right.
However, the one thing that's not listed is Flores was the defensive coordinator for when the Patriots played the Rams in the Super Bowl, and Goff was the quarterback of that Rams Super Bowl. And he wasn't listed as coordinator because he was like the linebackers coach, but the Dolphins hired Flores the next year because he was calling plays. And that, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the show. Have you guys heard of the one? That's where Mike Giardi from NFL Network reported that the Vikings, or sorry, not the Vikings, the Patriots players were saying all this nice stuff publicly about Goff. Privately, they were like, we're going to make Goff shit himself. And if you guys don't know what you're talking about, if you guys haven't heard this, I have Kai and Carlos. I have had please play the clip of what was reported before the Super Bowl.
Publicly, the Patriots players rave about him, say he can make all the throws. Privately, however, they want to put this game on Goff. One player telling me, if we show him some of the looks that we've seen so far to some of these other quarterbacks, some that he hasn't seen before, we believe he'll, quote, bleep in his pants.
Couldn't figure out what to say there. Yeah. He was trying to find a different verb. Couldn't think of defecate.
Quote, bleep in his pants. And he did, for the record.
Yeah, they scored 3 points in the game. And I know Goff, that was like 5 years ago, but I think it's a big game for Goff. The
that
whole
is
book
interesting.
On Goff is he can't handle pressure. And I don't mean like big game pressure. I mean like someone coming in his face. And that sounds worse too. But Jesus, we bleep that.
Good God,
Christ. Man. And then someone rushing. Football's so hard to talk about, man.
It is.
Oh, there's so much sexual innuendo in football talk.
Like the defensive ends.
Yeah.
When we do the draft show and I'm like, oh, the defensive end's like, oh, great get off. Then he's penetrate, bend, finish. And I'm like, oh, God, man. So anyway, but Goff, the whole thing with Goff is, can he handle rushers coming into fuck?
Dude.
Can we just move on to a different game?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I will say, I like when an entire team like agrees on a media strategy. I think that's cool when they're like, we are all like, the plan is to all publicly praise Goff, to kind of like lower his guard a little bit, and then we dominate him. It's the opposite of the Cam Taylor Britt. I think that's a great move.
Just going rogue.
Yeah.
One other thing I just want to shout out from this game, NFC North, the top 4 teams in the entire NFL in point differential are all the NFC North. The Vikings, the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers they all have outscored their opponents by the most in the NFL. That's crazy. And they're all above 500. That's kind of insane.
Simmons brought this up on his pod. Is there a way that all 4 of these teams can go to the playoffs?
Yeah.
I think technically, realistically, like no, but like right now, like I think right now, if the season ended, like they would.
The problem is like
once they start playing each other, no.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 wild cards. Yeah.
They'd all have to go 1-1 against each other, basically. They'd all have to have like 10-6, 9-7 records. If one team was like 14-3, I think it would be really hard for all 4 to make it. They'd have to be close.
Do you feel like the Bears are kind of frauds, though, like in this division?
If I'm picking one team to not make the playoffs out of those 4, I would definitely pick Chicago.
Yeah.
But defense is pretty good. Also, for Vikings, just if Aaron Jones can't go, I think Ty Chandler's the guy, despite the Cam Akers trade. So, we'll see about Aaron Jones. Other games, just from the early slate of games on Sunday. The Texans are playing the Packers in Green Bay, and the spread's Packers given 2.5.
Kind of another sneaky game of the year, a little bit. I do think, don't you guys feel like the Packers are probably the best team that hasn't gotten a ton of buzz this season? Packers are good. And it feels like they almost got more coverage when Malik Willis was playing than they have since Jordan Love came back. And I don't really know why that is. I mean, they're 4-2. They lost that week 1 game in Brazil, which doesn't count because the field was a slip and slide and Love got hurt. And then the only other game they've lost is to Minnesota by 2. And that was Love's first game back. So, I for some reason, I think Green Bay has not gotten a ton of love since Love has returned. Don't you guys feel that way a little bit?
Yeah, there's kind of like a Nick, you know how some players only get mentioned to highlight how bad they are? Like that's like the lack of options. Like Nick Westbrook-Akine for the Titans is always like, they have Nick Westbrook-Akine at receiver.
He caught a touchdown last week.
Yeah, and yeah, he did. And then everyone's like, Packers,
just
they got Malik Willis.
For him, yeah.
Like, you know, this is just like, it's brutal that's like how your name gets in the media. That's how your family sees you on ESPN, is like someone using you to highlight how bad the team is.
God,
we did the next generation superstars on Power Hour this week. I think we might have missed Jordan Love. We didn't mention him in the quarterback conversation.
I'd have to go back and check the tape. I'm pretty sure I threw his name out there and then we just kind of moved past it. But
we just fitting because that's like what everyone's that's the whole offseason though. Like if you look at the wild card round, like CJ Stroud and Jordan Love had literally the same stats almost to the yard. They were both 16 of both 21 attempts. Both had the same passer rating to the decimal, 157.2, both 3 touchdowns, both 0 picks. And then we left the offseason and Stroud did a bunch of podcasts and videos. We're like, we love Stroud. No one cares about Jordan Love, even though he got paid. I think if he wins this game, frankly, Jordan Love will get more famous. But if they lose, then do we think CJ Stroud will big bro Jordan Love?
Definitely. As long as CJ Stroud has played more games than the opposing quarterback, I think he thinks he has permission to big brother them.
He's played fewer games. He's a year younger than Love, but he just comes up, yo, dude, like, you know what, stick with it, man. Like, you're going to
learn
it.
from your mistakes.
He hasn't played fewer games in the NFL. He's played more NFL games than Jordan Love, right?
No. Because Stroud played like 1 game before Stroud was in the league. I guess Love missed 2 this season, but like Love played like 1 game before Stroud was even in the NFL.
Love is significant. How old is
Love? Was drafted 3 years before Stroud.
Love is 26.
Yeah, but he sat on the bench for 3 full seasons
25.
before Stroud was at college.
He's
Love has
almost
started
26.
22 games. I guess Stroud. Yeah, I guess Stroud's not at 22, is he? Close.
That'll be incredible.
He might be at 22. This is important.
But it's because Love missed the 2 weeks this year.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm sure Stroud's counting. I'm sure he's got a little tally marker. Oh, damn it. Stroud has started 21. Not there. He can't do it.
All right, next up here, Seahawks are playing the Falcons. DK, what's your just check-in on this game right here? What's your temperature check?
This game has a chance to be like the Mario Kart Rainbow Strip in terms of fantasy. Right now, the Seahawks and the Falcons are both shootout teams in terms of like the style they play.
And that's what we mean by Rainbow Strip. We've got multiple emails of new listeners who are like, what is that? And that's when you hit the Rainbow Strip in Mario and you go faster.
Right. The music changes, you go faster, everything is better.
Well, the music changes when you get the star. But you go faster with the star. When you hit the little turbo strip, the music does not change. You just go faster momentarily.
I think
there's a sound effect.
I've been conflating those this whole time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Either way, it's like getting the star or hitting a turbo strip.
I think I had literally that in my mind the entire time.
Yeah. We've been calling it Rainbow Strip, and I think we mean turbo strip. But Rainbow Road, I think, is where our mind went a little bit.
Yeah, Rainbow Road. Yeah.
Maybe we should play the game and see what it actually is.
Maybe, should we do that next week?
I do know what it is. I'm very familiar with Mario Kart. Double Dash.
I want to play Mario Kart.
I
haven't played forever.
Craig, you think you can beat us in Mario Kart?
Double Dash for sure. I'm elite at Double Dash. I'm like Dom Toretto out there.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you think you can beat Craig at Mario Kart Double Dash.
Or Super Smash Bros. Come at me. Melee.
Yeah. Who's your character?
Fox or Samus?
Fox or Samus? Mm-hmm. Wait, which Super Smash do you play?
Melee. But I 64 OG, I think is fantastic. Melee is my favorite. I think it's the best physics. And then after that, it kind of gets bad.
Okay, we can maybe we do that next week. Sorry, DK, you were talking about the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Email us at Ringer Fantasy Football about Smash and Kart.
Anyway, Pat Thorman pointed out both of these teams in games they've played are averaging over 51 points per game. These are 2 of the fastest paced teams in the NFL. Falcons are first in neutral pace. Seahawks are third in neutral pace. The Seahawks are the number 1 team in pass rate over expected. So this is going to be, and both of them, I think, are better on offense than they are on defense. And the Seahawks defense has really been struggling. They've had a bunch of injuries. They just are, I think, struggling to kind of find their identity, figure out this whole new scheme. And so there's a lot of opportunity for offense in this game. Also, by the way, kind of a must win for the Seahawks. If they want to go to the playoffs, because right now they're 3-3. They've got a bunch of tough games coming up. This is one of the more winnable ones. And so, yeah, this is kind of crunch time for the Seahawks.
Next game, we got the Titans are playing the Bills this week. Bills are giving 9 points. First of all, I just feel like Josh Allen versus Will Levis is basically like Josh Allen's doing a concert and Will Levis is the shitty Josh Allen cover band opening for Josh Allen.
Did you guys ever see the movie Multiplicity?
No, is that
No.
what is that?
It's an old movie where they make clones of this guy, and each time you clone him, it's like the first copy is like a little bit off from the original. And then
It
they
keeps
make
getting
copies
worse.
of the copy, and then by the time you get down to like the 8th or 9th copy, it's like
A deep fried meme that's been like re-downloaded and posted
Quality
20 times.
degrades more and more each time.
anyway. That's kind of the Josh Allen versus Will Levis thing is like there's a multiplicity happening here. Levis is supposed to be the Allen clone in terms of physical prowess, run around, do crazy stuff, like kind of a wild child in terms of like his decision making.
You're supposed to clone Josh Allen because he can put mustard on it, and Will Levis came out and just like loves mayo, and we're like, that's not what we meant.
I will say, if Will Levis probably not going to make it to his 3rd year, but like Josh Allen was pretty bad for his first couple of seasons.
He
in the
was.
league too.
It's why teams are committed to people like Levis. Levis should be paying Josh Allen a portion of his paycheck every single week.
Dude, he really should. Will Levis owes Josh Allen money. It's just like all the short quarterbacks owe Russell Wilson money.
Yeah.
100%. Also in this game, we don't know if Amari Cooper's playing yet. Amari was just traded to the Bills. So it has not been announced if he's playing in this game, right?
In fantasy purposes, I would not play Amari Cooper this week for fantasy for this week. Just because I feel like the odds that he's like super integrated into the game are like, if he catches a touchdown, cool. And if not, I don't think he's going to have like 90 yards in his first game.
I know.
But
I
overall,
agree.
how many people have had like NFL players have had a better vibes reversal than Amari Cooper leaving Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns and going to the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, like the worst situation in the NFL, to one of the 2 best. And then honestly, it reminds me of my cat. I feel like Amari Cooper's like a stray cat that was living on the street and got plucked into like a nice warm home.
Yeah.
Like, you're
so
loved
you
here,
guys,
Amari.
you guys are the Bills, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
In this scenario.
Might as well be.
I think that the Amari Cooper thing is interesting because right now the Bills they sort of reversed their identity and are just a smash mouth team right now. They were 3rd lowest pass rate over expectation last week in their win. And on the season, they ranked 20th. So they are a run first team. Josh Allen, this was wild to me. Josh Allen is averaging fewer completions per game than Will Levis right now. He's 29th in the league, 16 completions a game. Granted, Josh Allen has 10 touchdown throws and no picks and 3 rushing touchdowns, whereas Will Levis has 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So he's being quite a bit more efficient with his opportunities. But I was very surprised to see that, like, even though the eye test does say they're kind of like a run heavy, slow team now, like they're barely throwing the ball at all. And so I think that will probably change when Amari Cooper gets kind of up to speed and they have like a true number 1. But right now, this game is going to be just like a knockdown, drag out fight, I feel like, because the Titans defense is pretty good too.
Nate Tice has done a great job talking about this. Our buddy Nate, the Bills are a power run team, as you just said, DK, and like they're doing all this stuff like just, duo, and they're doing cool run stuff. But I think the Amari Cooper trade honestly was firstly about the running game, because Joe Buscaglia at The Athletic, my old friend Joe, was talking about how basically defenses kind of knew the Bills receivers couldn't get open. Like defenses were playing the Bills kind of too high.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, wait, Keon Coleman can't catch. And you're playing Matt Collins, and like Khalil Shakir gets hurt. And then suddenly, Shakir, because every time Josh would throw to Shakir, it was fine. Shakir misses one game and they're like, oh my God, we don't have to respect. We don't have to do any of this too high shit. Like
they're just getting up and pressing them and like, daring them to throw the football, and they can't do it. Yeah.
So it was about needing a separator, like, because Amari Cooper can separate, but like Keon Coleman, Matt Collins can't, so that you need defenses to go back to playing too high so they can start running again. And I think that the Bills offense will be a lot better, as you just said, like once Cooper's there again.
I love that. I love that chess match. It's just like a cool glimpse into like how the run game and the pass game work together, and how like you kind of need a little bit of both. Like you can't just suck at running. I understand like you're more efficient passing, but if you suck at running, it like makes you so one-dimensional. It's like actually worse, it's worse for your whole offense in general.
And then Ray Davis was incredible last week.
And now he's hurt, by the way. He popped up on the injury report today with a calf injury, and James Cook is a full go in practice, which
get the fuck out. Calf injury?
They're kind of switched. Coming into the week, it felt like maybe Ray Davis would like be the lead guy, and James Cook is still hurt, but now James Cook is practicing fully, and Davis popped up on the injury report. It's too early to know like what that means for this week, but just keep that in mind, because I don't know how serious it is. Yeah.
That's a bummer. Ray Davis looked for real in that game against the Jets. He also, without any receivers, Ray Davis was the one who made the biggest catch of the day. He had like a incredible 50-yard catch downfield that he like almost dropped.
Dude, Ray also like he had an amazing story. I'll tweet it out. People should look
Yeah.
up. Like the story, like it's one of those like every now and then you cry when you hear a player's story. And Ray Davis' story made me cry.
I mean, he was literally homeless, living in a car.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's obviously someone to root for. I think he'll have a bigger piece in the piece of the offense once he gets back.
I don't want to get the story wrong, so I'm just reading it straight up. But basically, there was a point where they were in a foster home and his siblings were there, and there was a family that could only take 2 people, but there were 3 of them. So Ray Davis sent his other 2 siblings to go, and he stayed in the foster home.
Do you know how?
And it's
old
like,
he
how do
was?
you not root for
How
people
old?
like
How old
that?
was he at that point?
12.
Regardless, it's just like an incredible story, but
Yeah.
that's just heartbreaking.
Fuck. Why did bad things happen to good people? Fuck,
Yeah.
whatever. All right, speaking of which, Eagles Giants. Poor Saquon wanted to go to the Eagles. No, so the Eagles are giving 3 points. This game sucks. I hate
I
this.
like how emotionally invested you are. in
Where's
this.
your head at? What do you want? What do you want to happen with Saquon in this game? If you could build your perfect scenario in this game with Saquon, what happens?
What? He's just
I thought he
speechless.
froze for a
I
second.
know. I was like,
Giants-
this is the first
I
time
know,
he's
I-
ever been speechless.
The Giants win because
Okay.
the Giants are 3-13, and they're like the last 16 games versus the Eagles. The Giants are 3-13, and one of those
Okay.
was where they benched all their starters. The Giants are 2-13. I would like to win the game.
But you want like
I would-
a modest game out of Saquon?
I would like Saquon to score. Like I would like him to be booed as he enters the field and then cheered when he leaves.
Okay.
And
Is he going to get booed?
He said he expects
dude,
to be cheered, not booed.
He
that
tried to
was
stay.
the least in touch thing I've ever heard. A New York, like that's like a George Pickens level. I can't believe Saquon thought that. Like, I don't think they'll boo me. I'm like, brother, they're gonna boo you, my guy. And like, that's not fair because honestly, he did nothing wrong, and the Giants kicked him to the curb. I don't know where I'm at with this. Is like, look, my head gets it. Obviously, like, I running backs are a bad investment. He's an older running back. They're a bad investment. Like the Giants were on the same time with him. Tyron Tracy's why you do this. He's 70% as good as Saquon for 7% of the cost. That's why you do it. My heart is like, I miss Saquon. Saquon and Malik Neighbors together would be cool. Saquon, the difference between him and these other running backs is he satisfies the Jeff Van Gundy rule of your best player should set a culture of intolerance for anything that gets in the way of winning. Saquon was that. He was a leader. Like he was the leader in the community, leader in the locker room. He was the culture, the work, the tone setter, and everything. And then on top of not only let that guy leave and tell him to kick rocks after he wanted to like stay with the team forever and just make him even a competitive offer, but then the Giants let him go to the Eagles, who are the most hated rival the Giants have, and then they take Saquon's money and give it to John Runyon Jr., who's the son of the Eagle that I hated the most growing up. And it really is like if the Steelers told Troy Polamalu to kick rocks, and Troy Polamalu goes to the Ravens, and then they could take Polamalu's money and give it to Ed Reed's son. That's basically what the Giants did. And like, it sucks.
Yeah, but how good is Ed Reed's son in this scenario?
I don't know how good's John Runyon Jr. That's the other point. It was to make the offensive line better, and the offensive line has been better. But guess what? Now Andrew Thomas has a foot injury. He's probably out for the whole season. He's the best player on the line. So like the Giants are fucked, man. The Giants losing Andrew Thomas. He's like honestly maybe the most important player on the offense, maybe even more than Neighbors.
Yeah, that's tough. PFF has Runyon as the 56th ranked guard out of 75 guards. So not great.
56. There are 64 that start every week. So,
well, that's how many they have graded. Apparently, I don't know.
At least Neighbors will be back this week. That's fun. You know, the new sexy guy in the Giants playing against the old sexy guy. The next generation of superstar for the New York Giants. That's fun. It'll be great. You don't need Saquon. You have Tyrone Tracy now too.
I know. I'm sad. I don't know how other.
Do I need to give you the talk on nihilism again here? You care too much about this. I feel like.
I kind of think the Giants are going to win this game. I think the Eagles suck.
I was going to say the same thing, Craig. I kind of think the Eagles aren't any good. So they're 20th in DVOA this year.
Yeah.
Their offense is like pretty good, 12th. But I think a lot of that is just their run game is really dominant. And they have like a couple of good receivers, but their passing offense is really one-dimensional in the sense that they can't pass over the middle of the field barely at all.
Also, there's going to be no Dallas Goedert this week, their tight end. And the Giants can like really generate pressure, and Hurts sucks against pressure. I don't know. I just think that the Giants have a real shot in this game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe AJ Brown's tough for the Giants to guard. I also Nick Sirianni. If the Eagles lose to the Giants, do you think Nick Sirianni? Dan Comer this week was telling me he called them Nick Sirianni's emotional support kids. Do you think he'll have the emotional support kids with him wherever he goes?
He might adopt a new kid every week to bring to the podium with him.
Just keep adding to the litter. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
smart.
Litter.
I like the idea.
Does anyone check if they're actually your kids? Just bring someone else's kids.
That's true.
One's
That's
doing
a good call.
Background,
Give me one of them big ones. I don't care.
Next game, the Bengals are at the Browns this week. The Bengals are giving 6 points. First of all, shout out Austin Gale, who again killed vast sections of the rainforest to run all these AI searches on how bad Deshaun
What's
Watson
the
is.
Deshaun Watson stat of the week?
So he wrote an entire column at the Ringer. Go check it out. The 3 worst ones from the column that my favorites were, one, it's just the worst Browns offense ever, which is incredible.
That's like all you need to say.
Yeah,
like the Browns, the Browns went winless in 2017 or whatever. That offense started better. The Browns were an expansion team in 1999. The next year, the expansion Browns, like that offense was better than the Deshaun Watson offense. Like that's crazy alone.
So it's like whenever you ask, it can't get, or whatever you say, it can't get worse, right? No, it can't.
Dude, that's the Homer Simpson.
It can always get worse. The
Homer Simpson meme of like, it's the worst year of my life. You're like, it's the worst year
day
of your life
so far.
So far. The other one I love from Austin's column, the Browns had that 0 for 26 stretch on third down. And they are, again, if you look at all teams' seasons since 2000, there's 768 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And the Browns are the worst team on third down so far. They're 765 out of 768. They are the third to last group and out of 768 on third down.
I would love to
768.
See the last
they're third to
3.
last.
Yeah.
But my favorite one is just this simple. Deshaun Watson just total EPA, expected points added. Deshaun Watson's total EPA is worse than Jamarcus Russell in 2009, which had previously been the unbeatable record. Jamarcus Russell 2009 was the year he got ran out of the league. So in other words, Deshaun Watson this season has been worse than the worst season from the worst draft bust ever.
And that was like, they sent him the tapes or whatever that were empty, and he just told, like, he didn't say anything. He's like,
yeah,
he
they
was
sent
not
him blank
watching
CDs.
tapes. I don't know if that's true or apocryphal, but
no, that one I believe has been confirmed. But yeah, like Jamarcus Russell season.
What sucks about all this is that obviously I root for the Browns less than any team in the league and Deshaun less than any quarterback in the league. And now Nick Chubb is coming back, who is like one of the most likable players in the league. He's got such an amazing story. He wrote an article for the Players Tribune this week that was like so touching and beautiful to read. The story about his family is just heartwarming.
I cried. I'm not gonna lie. I had a tear during reading that article.
Also the definition of like a football guy, like loves the game. The game saved his life, changed his family's life. He loves the city of Cleveland for not abandoning him after his injury. He's like the type of guy, he goes back to his high school to rehab and works out in the high school gym because he likes it better. And there's a water fountain in there.
God, I love that.
Water's free.
Yeah, he's like, they got the weights and they got a water fountain. Like, why wouldn't I go there? I'm like, this guy is the best guy ever, and he's playing with the worst guy ever. Also, it's just Nick Chubb was like one of the biggest freaks in the NFL. And so he's 8 months after blowing out his knee, he was squatting 540 pounds again. Unbelievable. I'm rooting for him so much. I hope the Browns just don't throw the ball once. And it's just Nick Chubb runs for 250
Hell
yards.
yeah. Is he going to play this week for sure?
It's likely. He probably will return this week. And also, Jerome Ford just hurt his hamstring. So I do think Chubb plays this week. No, I can't highly recommend enough, like reading this Nick Chubb Players Tribune article. There are so many bars in this article too. First of all,
it's funny. He's funny.
It's funny. I had never seen this. I never really thought about the surrealness of getting hurt in the NFL. But when he got hurt in that Steelers game, we all saw it. It was terrible. So Nick Chubb talked about how when he got hurt at Georgia, like, because it's the same injury he had at Georgia years ago. And he was explaining because it's like nerve issues. He says, you don't feel anything. Your body, like you just hear everything, but you don't feel any pain.
Oh my God. So
he didn't really know how bad it was. So he's like in the ambulance, and he was like, bad, those put me in an ambulance. And he's on his phone in the ambulance. And I'm quoting the article. He says, I go on Twitter and my name, he's 18, 19. He's like, and I go on Twitter, my name is trending. And the first thing I see on Twitter is a video of me with one of those warnings like graphic, viewer discretion's advised. And I'm like, how surreal is that? And then he's like, and then I watched the video of me going down, and it almost like wasn't really me. And I'm like, dang, that dude's leg is bent backwards. It's not supposed to do that.
Weird. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Can you imagine opening Twitter and everyone's like, oh God, I feel awful for Danny Kelly. That's weird.
Yeah, that would suck. Unless it's like, because I won $1 billion and then they're feeling bad because I'm not going to be humble anymore or something.
Yeah. That cool. The people love
finally
happy for each other.
Danny Kelly is above the law. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, I just can't hammer this enough. Like Craig, like when you're talking about like his grandmother was like really hard on him, have him move rocks all day and then like put him back where they were. And then he was like, but his grandmother had him
like
every
Sisyphus.
day. Yeah, I know. Well, no, but he ends the article with Cleveland, like the rocks won't move themselves. And I'm like, but like he literally,
That's a bar.
Grandmother had him repeat in the mirror every night before they went to bed. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I'm quoting the article. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I believe in myself. But we had to say it like we meant it. You couldn't stop until she believed that you were sincere. And she said, say it loud like you mean it. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I believe in myself. And she's like, don't be mumbling, Nick. She had to hear that bass in your voice. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I believe in myself. And I started crying.
This makes me feel like I'm a bad parent. I need to start doing this with Calvin.
Yeah, make him move rocks.
Well, probably won't do that.
DK, I really need to make you declare fart or shart on Sunday more. I need to make you declare it.
I know. You got to
Say
believe
it with
it.
your chest.
You got to you got to believe it.
He also said he committed to Georgia because he always loved dogs. And he thought the mascot was cute.
He's the best. He's the
Yeah,
best.
this
It
is
sucks.
I'm like, this is awesome.
Oh, unbelievable. Okay.
Maybe they'll just run the ball again.
All right.
On the other side, real quick, just another reminder for everyone who has not tuned in the last few months. Cincinnati's offense, absolutely humming.
Cooking.
Joe Burrow looks incredible. Off to one of his best starts ever. 12 touchdowns.
Little pointed tone in your voice there, DK.
Just a quick reminder, because there was a lot of hand wringing in the preseason.
Because Craig was so there was literally hand wringing. One, and then Craig was so worried about his wrists all offseason.
Yeah. The water bottle gate.
Watergate.
Yeah.
Watergate, I still think was a problem.
Watergate.
I still stand by the whole thing.
It almost ended me. I don't know if I could do this anymore.
I also still stand by everything.
People are cooked because of how he drank a water bottle.
I would like Joe Burrow to continue playing well. I also don't regret being like, I don't know about this unprecedented wrist injury.
Yeah. We know. We get it. Anyway, the QB5 in fantasy. The Bengals are passing at a really high rate. I think the interesting thing here is the T. Higgins element to this offense, because since he's come back to this offense, they are absolutely just, slinging it all over the yard. Jamar Chase is the wide receiver 1 in that stretch. So there's the last 4 games. T. Higgins is the wide receiver 19. And that's with T. Higgins actually out targeting Jamar Chase.
Straight up.
T. Higgins has a 29% target rate. T. Higgins is 24. The big difference really in how they've performed is Jamar Chase has like the most yards after the catch in the NFL this year in that stretch, and T. Higgins has kind of been more like a possession guy.
To be honest, it kind of feels like Ricky Bobby and Cal Naughton a little bit.
The slingshot.
Yeah, where it's like T. Higgins lives or walks so Jamar Chase can run. T. Higgins being on the field and grinding out 3rd and 8s. He does that so Jamar Chase can get a wide open 50-yard slant to the house.
Mm-hmm.
They are real shake and bake, peanut butter and jelly, not Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs.
Sonic
These
and
guys
Knuckles,
are peanut butter and jelly. Yeah,
should Chase and Higgins be Sonic and Knuckles?
Who's peanut butter and who's jelly of these two?
Chase Higgins is peanut butter because Chase is peanut butter. You know why? Because he can be smooth and he can be crunchy
and he can be chunky.
Okay,
yeah, chunky.
Chunk yards, if you will. No, I desperately want the Bengals to re-sign Higgins. I just don't want them to break up this duo.
Collinsworth was talking about this last week on Sunday Night Football, that he thinks he is essential to their offense and opens things up for Chase. I completely agree.
Yeah. Anyway, we
Burrow
love Higgins.
Very
love Higgins.
Also, the Bengals have taken off since Higgins came back. Burrow is very reliant on him to get 8 yards when he needs them the most.
I think so too. Yeah.
Such a bigger catch radius, great hands. He's kind of always open because of his size.
The best offenses need 2 good receivers, 2 elite receivers, I feel like.
Yeah. It's like how the best pods need 3 hosts.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just have 2. Right?
Speaking of which.
That's right, Craig.
Right, guys?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So this is bad timing, but we're going to kick you off, Craig. No.
Okay. Fine. I'll start my own pod.
Bulking season?
Burn?
I've been in development of the bulking pod for about 5 years now. So we're close to launch. Very close to launch.
Yeah.
I'm literally having to get my body ready. I've been bulking for 5 years.
You're not going to call it bulk and burn? I'm so hurt.
Not bulk. I don't know. It's either the bulking pod, bulk bros. We don't know.
Bulk bros.
We're taking submissions.
Bulk bros.
Bulk and rally. I don't know.
Oh, that's good.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com for suggestions for Craig's bulk pod. Name it. The last early game, Dolphins, Colts. The Colts are giving 3.5 points. I mean, this game sucks.
This game sucks, but it's a very interesting fantasy game. Because Anthony Richardson is starting and Tua is still out, which is like worst case scenario for all the players on the field for fantasy purposes. And I don't know who you can start in this game. It's like if Jonathan Taylor plays, you're starting him definitely. I think that's kind of it. And then the maybe category is quite big. It's like Anthony Richardson is a maybe. We have him as our QB 17. Josh Downs has averaged 3 points a game with Anthony Richardson. Tyreek Hill is averaging 7 points a game without Tua. Achane has had 7 points and 4 points without Tua, and he's likely coming back from a concussion. Will the week off maybe let McDaniels figure some more things out for this Dolphins offense? And then, I don't think you can play guys like Jalen Waddle or Michael Pittman either. So it's unbelievable how many good players are in this football game and how little you can start in fantasy this week.
I mean, it's so funny that Pittman was going to go on IR with the back, and then he's catching a touchdown. Then he's like, I still might go on IR. I don't know how my back is. And then I'd rather, but then Tyreek Hill, you're right. It's like Tyreek Hill, they're coming off a bye. Maybe they figured out how to get him the ball. So you can play him if you want, but also I don't blame you. You want to play Josh Downs over Tyreek Hill? That's fine with me. I get it. You know what I mean? Like Tyreek Hill, it's funny. It's almost like a crazy, he might as well be Rashid Shaheed right now. You're like, well, I know he can do it. We'll see.
It just sucks because Downs is built for Flacco. Downs is averaging 16 points a game with Flacco, 3 with Richardson.
He's good though. He's good. I think Richardson's a buy low, and I also think I think it's a huge game for Mike McDaniel. It's one thing to not be able to plug and play Tyler Huntley when Tua gets hurt in the middle of the season. I understand that. It's hard when Matt LaFleur can just do it. But if you come out of the bye and you still haven't really figured out, I mean, the Dolphins are the worst. The Dolphins, since Tua went down, are the worst offense in the NFL. They're right there with the Browns, frankly, and just sad when you watch them. If they're still like that out of the bye, I think that's pretty tough for Mike McDaniel.
And against the Colts, man, it's the Colts are one of the worst run Ds in the league. If they can't get Achane or Mostert going against this team, it's a tough look.
All right, the Carlos at Dolphins fan just texted us, Tua made McDaniel. Do you think we had all this backward? What if Tua made Mike McDaniel look smart and Brock Purdy made Kyle Shanahan look smart?
It's in play.
This is what I've been saying kind of about Tua, though. This is been my thesis on Tua is the quick release, the way he attacks the middle of the field. You can't replicate that pretty easily. You have to make a whole new offense.
Well, he has a specific skill set, and they built it around his specific skill set, which on one hand, that's good. Coaches should build the team to the skills of the players. The downside is when you fill the team with backups that cannot do, you need backups that also have those skills. And I think that's where I kind of we knew Tua was not going to be the most durable player. And I'm like, then why don't you have backups capable of doing this? I don't understand.
It is kind of wild though, if you sit back and think about it. This Dolphins offense has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, and they suck.
They suck.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
You got to figure it out quickly.
So, and that's the thing. So yeah. And then this is this is the best game coming up on the late slate here. So the NFL really cleared the decks. There's only 3 games in the afternoon, and it is Chiefs Niners Super Bowl rematch. And they're it's counter pro. It's when the ESPN has bowling on during 1:00 games. It's Panthers Commanders and Raiders Rams are the other 2 games. So this might as well be prime time. And the Chiefs are playing the Niners. First of all, obviously this is a Super Bowl rematch, and I just have to start with, so the Niners are favored by 1.5 points. I want to just start there. I think it's kind of crazy that the Niners are 3-3. I know the Chiefs have a somewhat fraudulent 5-0, but the Niners are also pretty banged up. I think it's a little wild the Niners are favored in this game.
I don't think you're allowed to ever call the Chiefs fraudulent until they fucking don't win a Super Bowl.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
They're 5-0. They're coming off 2 straight Super Bowls, and everyone's like, I don't know about the Chiefs. It's
dude,
what have we learned the last 2 years?
Kyle Shanahan said, this was his press conference today. We're recording this Thursday before Thursday Night Football. Shanahan said, he was asked about the obvious of how do you feel about avenging the Super Bowl? And Shanahan said, I think everyone understands that we've lost 2 Super Bowls to the Chiefs. So, I mean, that can give you a little post-traumatic stress when you turn on the tape. But I think that's human nature. You've got to make sure you don't get caught up in that. This game has nothing to do with past games. That was last year. You hear that, guys? Craig, this has nothing to do with past games. That was last year.
You know what's tough is I think after the first Super Bowl loss, you can really gear yourself up for the next time you play the Chiefs. But after 2, I think it's a little debilitating, and it's harder to convince yourself that you are a better team.
The doubt starts to creep in.
Yeah.
Confidence is essential for NFL athletes to reach the 100th percentile of performance. And
And the Chiefs are like the fucking boogeyman.
Yes, but it's all
Seriously.
pent up. Like this is kind of like when I hear this stuff and all the athletes, like, Fred Warner was saying, look, we lost those last year. We're on to the next one. That's like kind of like people are like, I'm going to stop drinking or I'm going to quit smoking cigarettes. It's like you mean it when you say it.
Yeah.
But like the other part of your brain is very much, think you say, like the reality is I know I'm being dramatic, but like I think that if the Niners lose to the Chiefs this time, I think it will break the team. Because this has been on their calendar the whole time. And I think it will break them to lose to Mahomes twice in 1 year. Because all the pent-up energy from the Super Bowl loss, I think, comes out.
Niners being favored in this game is wild.
I know it sounds dramatic, but like, if you look at NFL history, teams that lose the Super Bowl collapse because it's so hard. Like, the closer you get to getting that, like, lifetime achievement goal, and then it ripped away from you, and then when it's like, there's a reason teams implode. The Eagles, I just keep thinking about Jason Kelsey saying we were 10-1, we were miserable because we lost the Super Bowl. Happens all the time. It happened. The Seahawks basically broke up the Legion of Boom because they were mad at Russell Wilson over the loss. The Falcons could not get over 28-3. That was a Shanahan squad. Like, I don't know. I look at this and I'm like, I think this era of the Shanahan Super Bowl window closes if they don't win this game. I'm serious.
I agree. I completely agree. Mahomes is 11-1-1 against the spread as an underdog.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Really? Yeah. I thought the other interesting thing about this game, Robert Mays brought this up on Twitter. Patrick Mahomes, right? There's just a really strong contrast between the way that these two quarterbacks are playing, and it wouldn't be like the way that you think, because off the bat you'd be like, oh, Brock Purdy, he's just his skill players are doing everything for him. Blah blah blah.
Screen passes, and Mahomes is chucking it.
But it's the opposite. Right now, Brock Purdy is averaging 9.1 air yards per completion, so he's throwing almost to the sticks on every play on average. And that would be the highest, according to Next Gen Stats, since 2016. Like, if he finished the season that way, that would be the highest number ever in that era. Patrick Mahomes is averaging 3.6 air yards per completion, which would be the lowest. Like, they couldn't be further apart on the spectrum of air, like how far they're pushing it down the field, how aggressive they're passing. And
that stat reflects the talent, though.
Yeah.
The Niners can push it deep because they have Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Debo's back, and like the Chiefs. I mean, honestly, I wonder if the Chiefs are going to sign Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who just got cut from the Bills. Like, the Chiefs are working with, they got Xavier Worthy, who's a rookie, and they got Juju back, who got cut from the Patriots. Like, this is the Chiefs. Like, I think it's reflective of that.
I think
sure.
I think this is the real game of the year. Screw Vikings Lions. Like, come on, if you can only watch one game this week, you're watching this game.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, sorry.
Game of the
should we edit this from where I had it and then drop it next to Vikings Lions?
No, I think we declare this game of the decade.
Game of the decade.
I declare this
game of the decade.
All right, and then the games that are being, again, it's like bowling on with the 1:00 games. Panthers, Commanders, Washington's giving 7.5. Who cares? It's awful. And then the Raiders, Rams are giving 7-2.
Just quick interjection. Jaden Daniels makes the Commanders watchable no matter who they're
playing.
playing.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's amazing.
But like the rest of this game is pretty bad.
Yeah, Jaden's
this is
awesome.
like, fantasy crack if you have any Commanders heading into this.
Yeah, yes. Deontay Johnson for it is like weirdly, it's a pathetic Mario Kart Rainbow Strip game. Raiders are at the Rams. Raiders are this post-Devontae team. I think just for fantasy, Brock Bowers, I think, will be the number one tight end in fantasy for the rest of the season from this day forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole team's going to be around him.
I also want to shout out Jacoby Myers, who I think is very slept on in fantasy circles. He's 55% rostered on Yahoo. In 3 games without Devontae this year, he's had 9+ targets in each. This is from Jacob Gibbs at CBS. On plays without Devontae, Jacoby Myers is 16th in targets per route run, 27%, which is ahead of guys like Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're playing the Rams this week. The Rams D stinks. Go add Jacoby Myers right now because I think he's good and reliable, and he will be a solid player for you for the rest of the season.
And Cooper Kupp is also maybe coming back for this game, so that's big for the Rams, obviously. I know we touched on this last week, but I really want to hit it. Like, Tom Brady owns the Raiders now and like did this broadcasting deal that basically structure like his ownership of the Raiders. I think it's 5%. I could be wrong on that, but he basically is taking. I could be wrong on the numbers. I believe it's $200 billion of this 3. I don't know if he's taking out a loan or it's a payment plan or what, but like $200 billion for 5%, which I think those are the details. But I think it's amazing. One. That like it is weird that he's like going to be this announcer.
This should not be allowed. What are we doing?
No, the rules are there's a bunch of rules.
He can't even go into another opposing building.
He can't go. Yeah. He can't sit down with any of the players before the game. Basically, can't prepare for the game. He's got to show up and vibe.
Yeah,
and I think even worse that he can't he's literally would be fine
Can't
if you criticize the
criticize.
officials.
Yeah.
Which is wild for an announcer that like literally Brady's not allowed to like talk about the officials like in any negative way, which is just like, I mean, frankly, half of what we need from an announcer during the game.
I mean, so we're assuming that how long is Brady's deal with Fox?
10 years.
I don't know how that's going to work. He's going to get out of that.
No, it's funding the deal. I don't know what I don't know. I don't think Brady has $200 million in liquid cash. I think it's either like he's either Fox paid him up front or he probably took a loan out on it.
TB12,
like,
you never know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true. But like, I feel like he probably is just paying Mark Davis in installments. I don't know what the fuck's happening, but like, I think he's going to keep doing the announcing thing. I will say this. I do wonder if the lack of being in the pre-production meetings is actually exactly what he needs, because all the announcers, basically, you get to know the team and you have all these meetings and that's where they get their little insights, right? Brady's problem right now is he's over-prepared.
Totally.
And I think that there's a world where if Brady actually was not connected to any of these guys and like is more willing to be shit talk, I think that's the thing is I want him to be more willing to criticize people because he didn't just get buttered up by like the like the players talking to him and he's just willing to criticize. I don't know if he's allowed to criticize them because he's an owner now, but it'd be better if he just shit talked Trevor Lawrence. You know what I mean? Because
like
he
this,
didn't
actually.
just talk to Trevor Lawrence 3
Maybe
days ago.
this is how it should be.
Yeah, he should just show up. Like, we want him to kind of just like Romo it out a little bit. Just like show up, throw out some predictions, vibe it out a little bit. Be yourself.
That's why it's hard. Like, that's why Troy Aikman's actually become one of the best announcers, is because he's old enough where he doesn't care, because he can sit there and be like really heavily criticize someone that he had just spent 30 minutes with like 2 days ago.
It's a great call. Maybe this will end up helping him.
Yeah. All right. Sunday Night Football. This is the real event here for this podcast. The Jets are at the Steelers. And not only have the Jets added Devontae Adams, we'll see if he actually plays. There's no reason not to expect
the Steelers
Jets
have
to
added
move.
a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
So the Russell Wilson may be the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. And DK,
He's going to start.
I was
gonna
going to
start.
say, I like how we're still just saying might
He's
be.
definitely going to start.
Well, Tomlin's like, yeah, we're preparing.
I don't know.
Tomlin is the funniest coach speak ever. He's the longest tenured coach in the NFL. And Tomlin's like, yeah, we're preparing for that eventuality.
I know.
He's like the funniest way of speaking.
He's definitely going to start, which DK, I wanted you to put together a little list for me.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of my friends right now, I'm 30 years old. A lot of my friends are starting to have babies. And there's a popular book that people read called What to Expect When You're Expecting. And I wanted you to help me prepare for what I should expect when I'm expecting Russell Wilson to be the starting quarterback for my team this week and for the rest of the season. I want to know what can I expect beginning this journey, this new chapter in my life.
Yeah. So the top level synopsis based on last year, we're going to throw out the whole, like his whole career, because he's changed as a player as he's gotten older. Early on, he relied on his feet a lot, and that was like a big part of it. Being a Houdini in the pocket, escaping pressure, making plays out of structure. That just hasn't been the case as much anymore. He still could do it a little bit, but not really.
Well, Tomlin was asked, can he
to the
escape like
level.
Justin Fields can?
No.
And Tomlin's like, no.
He said no.
Yeah, and he's not going to escape like, you know, an elite edge defender who's got him dead to rights. Like he used to be able to do that. He can't.
Steelers
do
have really good tackles, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, 3-0 linemen from their
Yeah.
week one already gone.
So the too long didn't read it version of the Russell Wilson scouting report is basically he takes a ton of sacks. He holds onto the ball way too long. It's really frustrating. He is like Jalen Hurts in the sense he can't really throw over the middle of the field. He much prefers to just throw to outside the hashes. But despite all those things, he still has a little magic in him, and he can make big throws and he can make big plays. I think like the most basic and core memory I have of like the Russell Wilson era in Seattle is like I was mad the whole game until the end when they won. You know what I mean? Like he has a way of like making magic, and that's kind of like been his whole career. Now, he used to make that magic out of structure and like running around. And I think that's the one thing he just doesn't have anymore, but he can still definitely hit a big play. I think they're going to be more dangerous throwing down the field. Wilson's a much better downfield thrower than Justin Fields is, but I think he's worse at pretty much everything else. Like right now, like the offensive line is certainly an issue. I would not be surprised if he gets sacked a bunch in this game. And or if he just checks down a lot in this game. So like the bottom line is it's going to be ugly, but if he can make enough big plays that's kind of his deal. Like ugly, terrible game. I feel terrible after watching this, but they won.
What's funny, DK, is what you're describing. You're mostly mad, and then there's those moments of magic. I feel like you're kind of describing what it's like to have a baby, It's like most of the time it's a massive pain in the ass. But there are those few moments where
she smiled at me.
Yeah. Oh man, this is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
DK, what should Craig do to prepare for the blowout?
The blowout, just always have, equipment on you. Have towels, have paper towels or whatever they're called, baby wipes. At all times.
Just have diapers on hand in case of the blowout.
Yeah, just come prepared. Be prepared.
Well,
go in there knowing that it's going to be frustrating. People are going to be looking at you funny because you're really mad or, whatever. The baby's crying. But you just have to be able to weather the storm and get through it until the end.
And also, for everyone listening, please listen to the Sunday episode of the show because we're actually all going to be together. So we will literally go from Craig watching Russell Wilson and the Steelers. Craig and DK and I are all going to be together in Los Angeles for next week. And we're going to watch this game together and directly get in studio, which will be incredible.
I'm kind of excited to watch.
That'll be very fun for us.
I'm kind of excited to watch the Russell Wilson experiment here,
but
because it defies logic. You have a 4-2 team. Your quarterback has led you to the start, and then you benched it.
Right.
This is not something teams do.
Right.
And also, speaking of children, George Pickens called Amon-Ra St. Brown a slot merchant this week, and basically just swerved out of his way.
Why is Pickens doing interviews?
Why is he doing so many interviews? He really enjoys doing interviews.
The Steelers need to employ a gag order on this.
Yeah, he like kind of low key called out this like Arthur Smith a little bit. He kind of called out the scheme. He was like, "Yeah, like they don't scheme me open. It's easy for other guys, not easy for me."
I love a good diva.
The funny thing is like he's kind of right.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to say that, Craig.
Yeah.
Squeaky wheel narrative. Maybe this is the week he does really well. I don't know.
I think
Russell
Tomlin's
Wilson,
whole
in
career
theory,
has been
it's a good fit with him.
Tomlin's whole career with squeaky wheels has been he's that guy who drives the car where you can hear the brakes from a mile away. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I think Tomlin doesn't care. Also, Devontae Adams for the Jets, unlike Amari Cooper to the Bills, I think you played Devontae this week. There's no reason, given all the Rodgers-ness of it and Devontae and the whole thing, there's no reason not to have higher expectations for this in-season trade than any trade that's ever been made in terms of how quickly Devontae Adams should be good. This week, fine. If Devontae isn't performing by even like next week, like the whole thing was that you guys could work together better than the guys that Garrett Wilson. You know what I mean? I kind of think he might be good immediately.
You know when you're playing pickup and there's two guys on your team that like play D1 basketball and they just kind of like do everything and you're just there to get rebounds. It kind of
that was
like
my whole career. Yeah. So everything I did.
It feels like Rodgers isn't even going to call a play. He's just gonna be like, everybody line up. I'll communicate what I'm going to do with Devontae, and you guys just kind of be there.
Dude, that was how Ringer pickup basketball was. It was just like everyone's like 6'3" and can shoot threes, and also like and I'm like, I'll just go stand in the corner, and Jason Gallagher and I will both like loosely
box
guard
out
each other.
Yeah,
and I'll
what was the Will Ferrell basketball movie again?
Semi-pro.
Tropic.
Yeah. Remember the scene where he just get like they're feeding him in the post like 12 times in a row, and he's just like, no, he like, throws it back. That's just gonna be Rodgers and Devontae.
They were the Flint Tropics.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's why I called it Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I got confused. That's so. Also, I just want to call it right now. I kind of think Rodgers is going to get hurt in this game. Like,
I kind of think, God, what are we doing?
I'm just saying it.
What?
I'm just saying it. Like,
don't you put
Jets,
that on me?
It would be Aaron Rodgers. It's like Aaron Rodgers has the chance to do the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, Tyron Smith is banged up, and Morgan Moses
TJ
is
Watt's
hurt.
going to annihilate.
Dude, I think they're going to put. So you have Olu Fashanu, who's a very highly ranked prospect, and DK, you liked Olu Fashanu coming in the draft at Penn State, but he's a rookie tackle at Penn State. I think they're going to put TJ Watt on this rookie tackle. And like Rodgers is limping each of the last 3 games. Rodgers is like barely pulling himself off the turf. It would be the most. Could anything be more Jets than finally trading for Devontae and then Rodgers gets hurt again?
That's true.
It's the obvious conclusion in retrospect. That's all.
Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot.
And then they'll reinvent themselves again. They'll trade for Justin Fields and convince themselves the season is still salvageable.
Yeah, let's leave Fields at
off topic. Well, kind of on topic. Craig, TJ Watt is a freaking maniac.
He's unbelievable.
That guy is I don't understand how he's so much better than everyone around him. He's just a maniac.
It's
the Watts.
I
think it's nominative determinism with the Watts is like the definition of energy.
It's like supercharged.
It's crazy how consistent he is every week. Like he is the most calming presence where like no matter what, TJ Watt will disrupt 10 plays in a game. Did you see the video of him punching? Somebody tagged us the video of him punching Zay. Was it Zay Flowers?
Yeah, Zay Flowers in the throat.
That's assault. Yeah,
trying to knock the ball out, trying to punch the ball out for a fumble. But yeah, he literally punched him in the neck. Yeah.
Or wherever,
TJ Watt's crazy. Also, the other thing, TJ Watt in week one, I think I'm not kidding. I think it's the best defender I've ever watched. It's just TJ Watt, the last like 4 week ones, has like multiple picks and forced fumbles and sacks. And like, it's almost like a season stat line. It's just like his last 3 or 4 week ones.
It's wild that he's the smaller brother.
Dude, he's
like,
unbelievable.
And he's like unstoppable.
It's a crazy family.
Yeah.
All right. Monday Night Football. There's 2 games this week. I kind of want to just start with the bad one, Chargers Cardinals, just because this game's at 9:00 Eastern, which is like, I get a good call picking Chargers Cardinals.
Yeah.
But wow, how do you guys? It's only on ESPN Plus, which I get it, but like, man, that's kind of like an assault on the East Coast to put this a Monday Night Football game that starts at 9 p.m. So
it's 2 West Coast teams. No one's gonna care. You guys can tune out.
It's Pac-12 after dark. That's what it is.
100%.
It is. Yeah. I just want to take this moment also to announce. You know how Kyler Murray made fun of everyone and us for making fun of him because he got, you guys memed me into a bag. I got my Call of Duty partnership. Kyler's 0-1 since the Call of Duty partnership. Just throwing it out.
Start the tally now.
Kyler's kind of been underwhelming this year.
Yeah, just throwing it out. Just throwing it out.
He's definitely had his moments, but I was hoping for a little bit more.
The other Monday Night Football game, the good one, the real one, is Ravens are at the Buccaneers. They're both 4-2. The Ravens are favored by just over a field goal. These are 2 insanely fun teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Can we take a moment to just appreciate Baker Mayfield a little bit, what he's doing this year? After 6 weeks, Baker Mayfield, number 2 quarterback in fantasy behind Lamar, number 1 in touchdowns, number 2 in passer rating, 3rd in yards after catch per completion. And, I also think there's a lot of offensive coordinators that are famous right now, get a lot of credit, the Ben Johnsons of the world. Liam Cohen, man, the offensive coordinator for the Bucs. This is year 1. This guy's 38 years old, first year as a play caller. He kind of bounced back and forth between the Rams and Kentucky since 2018. He kind of made Will Levis relevant.
I know. I was going to say, yeah.
It's good on your resume.
Totally. Bucs are second in the NFL in points. He revived Chris Godwin, who's probably the biggest steal of fantasy football this year. Took Baker to another level, even though he was good last year. Point McVay tree. There's the Shanahan versus the McVay, competition. Point McVay.
Liam Cohen's like going to be a head coach, and Liam Cohen's one of those guys that McVay brought in to teach him stuff because Liam Cohen's really smart. Also, just this draft. I mean, Lamar was the last pick of the first round in 2018, and Baker was the first pick. And then Baker's ended up on 4 teams, including the Rams, where this is how Liam Cohen and the Bucs met, or Baker Mayfield met. Was like when Baker showed up on Tuesday night and played on Thursday night. Like Liam Cohen picked him up from the airport, and they
remember that time we had the game winner? That was so fun. That was like a one night stand.
That's like if we should do at one point a power hour of like the craziest things that happened in the NFL in the last since we've been doing the show. That's in the top 10. Yeah. Baker landing on Tuesday night in LA, signing basically before he gets on the plane, and then winning on Thursday.
Did he hit the game winner to Odell? Who was he to?
Oh my God, I don't know. It's probably 2-2. I don't know. That was outrageous.
I'm misremembering this.
The Raiders playing the only coverage that would work. But insane. But I think that what a crazy arc for the 2018 draft too. I think it's so weird to like. It's really one of the crazier drafts to just look at, where it's like Baker, Saquon, Darnold, and like just where we've gone on Baker and Darnold, and to think that we come back 6 years later and like Baker versus Lamar. This is awesome. Yeah,
it was Van Jefferson. Sorry to follow up.
Now, nice. Van Jefferson. Now it's going to be Russell Wilson to Van Jefferson for the game.
Yeah. Dude, you see the memes this week of like that meme where the Steelers like Lil Buddy wanted Devontae Adams, but ain't have Devontae Adams money. Van Jefferson it'll be then.
Oh God.
Baker being the number 2 quarterback in fantasy this year is just like like the best example of like, why do we do this?
I think that it's the memento tattoo this year is never draft a pocket passer high. like rushing is predictive. There's no reason to take it. There's no reason to ever take Mahomes high ever again, or like Dak, any of these pocket passers. Someone will emerge and you try to add him off waivers.
Yeah.
And like 50-50 shot, you get a Derek Carr who's good for 2 weeks and sucks, and 50-50 shot, you get Baker who stays good.
15 touchdowns.
You don't think like Stroud, Burrow, and Purdy are kind of the outliers there that you could probably rely on every year?
No, because like why? Like why spend the 80th pick?
I'm not saying take him in
them?
the top 5, but it's a reliable pick.
Yeah, but also didn't Dak feel like a reliable pick? He led the league in touchdowns last year. Didn't Mahomes Mahomes suck? Mahomes should be dropped in fantasy if his name was different. We're not going to tell you to drop him because you could trade for him, but like no, like Mahomes is untakeable. It's a coin flip on whether the person will be good.
Remember when Herbert was a good fantasy quarterback? Those were the days.
He's too busy winning now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, before we keep going with the Ravens Bucs game.
Overboard here.
I mean, just saying. This is an incredible stat. Shout out, I think, Benton. Benton tweeted this at us.
Benton.
This was on ESPN. The Ravens have the highest rush yards differential. And this is about like the first 6 games. And it's just how many more rushing yards you have than your opponent through 6 weeks. The Ravens have the most ever. And they have beat the record held by the 1934 Chicago Bears.
Wow.
The people running the ball for the 1934 Chicago Bears were Beatty Feathers.
Yeah.
Oh, Beatty.
Shout
Our
out
old
Beatty.
friend
We
Beatty
talked
Feathers.
about him. Yeah.
Red Grange
Oh, yeah.
and Bronco Nagurski.
Great names. God damn.
Bronco Nagurski.
Bronco.
That's kind of interesting that a team had such a high differential back then, because it felt like every team just ran the ball. It felt like in the 30s.
Yeah.
Like that's all anybody did. There was like 4 passes a game. So I'm surprised the Bears are so much better than everybody else at running the ball.
Oh, that's a good call, Craig. Wait, I wonder if they played one of those teams that like then went out of business because they weren't a real team. So the Bears, let's see here. Actually, the Bears, the first 6 games they played. Oh, look at get the fuck out. All right. First game the Bears played that week was it was the first game that was in week 3.
Okay.
They played the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Then they played the Cincinnati Reds.
Sure. Well, those guys were playing baseball, so it's probably easy to run against them.
Then they
Those are
played
baseball
the
players.
Brooklyn Dodgers.
This game is confusing.
They played another baseball team. Okay.
Then they played the Pittsburgh Pirates.
So they're
What the
literally
fuck?
they're literally just running on baseball teams.
Then they played the Chicago Cardinals.
Baseball.
Then they played the Cincinnati Reds again.
Okay. They had a script for that. They knew how to beat them.
That's their first 6
Oh my
games.
God.
That's okay. They were literally running against second
this
basemen.
record came against all baseball teams.
They were playing infielders.
What was the Bears' home run differential?
Yeah, when the Bears played when they played the Cincinnati Reds in 1934, let's see here, the Cincinnati Reds trotted out Algie Clark,
Algie.
Algy, Gil Lefebvre.
Algie?
I can't pronounce this. Gil Lefebvre.
No
Lefebvre.
idea.
Lefebvre.
Gil is gone. We don't do Gills anymore.
Is that like short for Gilbert?
I guess so.
Lou Pope.
Loop?
Lou L-E-W. Lou Pope.
Oh, Lou Pope.
Norris Steverson.
Lou Pope.
Lou.
Otto Vockety.
Otto Vockety.
Benny Sohn. Tom Bushby and Red Corzine.
God.
That was the
There's lots
Cincinnati
of
Reds.
Reds back in
Otto
the day.
Vackety feels like an anagram that a serial killer would give you to figure out the clue.
Tom Riddle. Otto Vackety. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
What
it's
does
like
he
in
mean?
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. What does he mean by Otto Vackety?
Dude, the next game, though, against the Brooklyn Dodgers, they really rocked the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Mm.
They really,
Again.
you know, the quarterback for the Brooklyn, oh, no, sorry, you know, who the quarterback for the Brooklyn Dodgers was in
Sonny Koufax.
Shipwreck Kelly.
How'd we get there? I need to know how we got there. What happened to
He
him?
was
Shipwreck.
literally shipwrecked.
DK, is this
In
your
the
long lost
Caribbean.
grandfather?
Wait, I'm like,
maybe.
Shipwreck Kelly. Dude, wait, go to his Wikipedia. His Wikipedia is also like a painting. It's like
It's
an
a
old
painting.
football card. They didn't even have photography.
Shipwreck?
Shipwreck Kelly, also an owner and banker, most prominent in New York City. Player coach for the Dodgers Football Club, which were what became of the Dayton Triangles.
Oh, he
Heard of
Played
the
for the Dayton
Triangles.
Triangles.
got his nickname for pole sitting.
What is pole sitting?
It's the practice of sitting on top of a pole as a test of endurance. A small platform is typically placed on top of the pole for the sitter. Is that because it looks like when you like climb
Like a
to the top
mast?
of a ship as it's going down,
Yeah.
you sit on top of the whatever?
I really thought he was going to like have survived a shipwreck.
Me too. I thought that as well.
That's, it's on poles.
What are
It's
those
a-
things called? What are the main parts of the
A
ship
mast.
called? Mast. You sit on top of the mast as you're going down.
Well, I think people sit up there and like look out for stuff too.
But I imagine if they're calling it shipwreck, it's because it's
Yeah,
when it
good.
goes down.
All right, that's
Dude,
fair.
this
He's
personal
175
life,
pounds.
his personal life blurb. Oh my God, get the fuck. All right, dude, this is out of. All right, let me cook here. First of all, personal life sounds like a different life. Shipwreck Kelly was married in 1941. First of all, part of New York's Cafe Society, frequently in attendance at Stork Club, the 21 in El Morocco.
Cafe
Ma-
Society?
I guess, yeah. Like,
What does that
I don't
mean?
know. I don't know.
Like
the
people like
salons
to
of
hang around in
Gatsby.
cafes.
So it's a social club. You just go to cafes.
Shipwreck Kelly married 1941 to New York City to the millionaire debutante Brenda Fraser.
Debutante, yeah.
After whom the long-running comic strip Brenda Star Reporter was named after. The couple bought a new Packard Darren convertible from the New York Auto Show and traveled around New York City with Jock Whitney and Tom Kerrigan.
Jock.
This guy sounds like he had a great life.
Relative of Phil Sims. Listen to this. World War II. During World War II,
Never mind.
Shipwreck Kelly was recruited by the FBI to travel to Cuba, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and Argentina to track the activities of wealthy German expatriates helping the Nazi cause.
Damn, so he was
Holy
like a spy.
shit.
He was a spy in World
He was
War
a spy.
II. Shipwreck Kelly.
Shipwreck Kelly was a spy. And after the war, Kelly pursued a career as an investment banker.
Craig, not
Of
enough
course.
people. They didn't have enough people back then. These
No.
people did everything in their lives.
Yeah,
He was
He
a
had to be
spy
an investment banker.
He was living in high society, married a debutante, was a
running
spy
back in
during
the
World War
NFL.
II. He's like hobnobbing with rich expatriates in Cuba, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and Argentina.
And then
He's
because
just
NFL
like jet
player,
setting around as a spy during World War II, and then he comes back and he's a pro football player.
he's actually an NFL quarterback who became player coach, who then bought the team, and that's just prologue to being the spy investment banker.
Heifetz, apparently he's related to Phil Sims.
That's crazy, dude. This is
Apparently, there's a Woody
We
Allen
live
movie
such
called
boring
Cafe
lives.
Society.
Oh,
People did
Dude.
stuff back in the 40s.
dude.
and
People
50s,
did
didn't
stuff,
they?
man. People did stuff.
Had nicknames like fucking Shipwreck Kelly.
well,
Dude.
I'm popcorn Horlbeck. Same thing. Quesadilla Kelly.
Popcorn, chicken
Chicken parm
Heifetz.
Heifetz. We still got it.
Also, he got his nickname from Alvin Shipwreck Kelly, who was the pole sitter you guys mentioned. My grandfather's name was Alvin Kelly.
Wow.
Is your dad a
Wait.
shipwreck?
Are you sure your dad is not Shipwreck Kelly?
Not sure.
Your grandfather.
Not 100% sure.
Let's figure out.
Alvin Shipwreck Kelly was born in 1893, so I'm pretty sure
I mean, he was a spy. You know, he definitely had false.
It's true.
he
records.
died in 1952, before my dad was born.
Or did he? I don't know. This
Yeah,
guy
good
led
question.
Shipwreck led the league in receptions in 1933 with 4. No, I don't know. I would love to know how many catches. That would be a great trivia question. How many catches did Shipwreck Kelly lead the league in?
Wait, is that real?
He did lead the league in receptions in 1933. I don't know how many that was. We can just look up his stats, I guess.
This guy was related. I love that he's related to Phil Sims. He's related to our boy, Chris Sims.
Oh my God.
Shipwreck Kelly.
Dude, him being a spy in Peru, following wealthy
So he's just like
expatriates.
he's going to like all these like parties.
The South
and
American
hanging out-
countries.
Hanging
yeah,
out
the
with
Nazi
suspected
He's
Nazis.
like fucking James Bond.
Seriously, dude.
stuff. He led the league in 1933 with 22 catches, and he led
Nice.
the league in. He also had
22.
three
Two a
receiving
game.
touchdowns. Led the league in 1933.
Wow.
I guess the Pittsburgh Pirates weren't really catching a bunch of touchdowns. All right. Wow. If anyone has anything related to pole sitting or shipwrecks or anything, other players who were spies during World War II to undermine the
I
Nazis,
also-
email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Email if
I
you have
don't
thoughts
really-
what Craig's bulk and burn should be.
I don't really understand how pole sitting is a test of endurance. If there's like a platform for you to sit on top of the pole, I don't really. You just sit there.
Yeah, you just-
Guess what? Working in sports media is also a test of endurance. You sit there for 16 hours watching football.
Yeah, modern society does that every day from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
We sit for 10 straight hours. Before we go, DK, I don't know if you saw this, but this is funny timing. There's a new movie trailer that just came out for a movie called The Electric State, and it's a movie directed by the Russo brothers, the guys who did the Avengers and a lot of the other Marvel movies, Captain
Also
America.
Gray Man, which
Right. They made this movie for I think it was like $5 billion it cost them to make this movie.
what?
No, it was $300 million. It was but it's a ridiculous price for this film. Anyway,
$5 billion.
the entire trailer, the song playing under it is Champagne Supernova.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, by Oasis. It's all
What's
you
it
coming
called?
sing it?
around.
Electric City?
The Electric State.
The
Will you
Electric
sing it?
State.
DK sing it.
All right.
DK, sing.
A champagne supernova in
Yeah.
the sky.
They also did an Oasis sketch on SNL that was funny. Where they called everybody legends. Legend. Tommy Pickles, legend.
Tommy Pickles, legend.
Yeah, they were just basically the only thing they could. The bit was that the only thing the two of them could bond over was cartoons because they're brothers that hate each other. It was funny. They were like Eliza Thornberry, legend.
Oh my God. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Kai and Carlos. Thank you, everyone, for helping produce this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. Rankings are at fantasyfootball.theringer.com. Emails are ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. And emails nominations for Sunday categories and the Sunday things as you're watching Sunday. Email us and follow us on Instagram, Ringer Fantasy Football. Thank you, Lauren.
Lord.
Thank you, no doubt.
Nice. No doubt's great.
What do you think the rest of the band is doing these days?
They just played at Coachella last year. She came back.
No doubt did? Oh,
yeah,
nice.
with Gwen. I think they came
I'm
out
just
with Olivia
Googling this now.
Rodrigo.
Was Gwen Stefani in No Doubt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
That's how she got her start, Heifetz.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they actually had
they
a
had some
different.
bangers. They had some good songs for sure.
Oh yeah, Don't Speak. Just
You guys know my Gwen Stefani story.
Yeah, you've told it.
Okay.
We don't need to hear that one again. I don't
The
think.
grocery
I'm
store,
tired
right?
of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought she was being harassed by a homeless man, and it was her husband.
Actually, there was a different girl in No Doubt, and they basically kicked her out for Gwen.
Oh,
Stefani.
really?
Yeah.
They're like, this girl is going to be a star. I was listening to some No Doubt the other day. I was like, each of their albums had like a very distinctive new sound to
Gwen
it.
Stefani is the oldest person that looks 30. How old do you think Gwen Stefani is, DK?
50 something, 51.
55.
55? Yeah.
She
She doesn't look that old.
It's crazy what we can do these days.
with modern technology. You know,
This is off topic, but I remembered you guys were just talking about cartoons, and I remembered this. You know when I said the other day, is that a SquarePants thing? And you guys laughed at me.
Yeah.
My buddy texted me and said that was the funniest thing he's ever heard on this podcast. And I was like, then we got into an argument. We got into an argument because I essentially got what he said is the most famous cartoon in the world wrong by saying SquarePants instead of SpongeBob. And I was like, there's no way he's the most famous cartoon. And I said, ever heard of Bambi? Ever heard of fucking Mickey Mouse? And his contention, I want to hear what you guys, I don't know if he's actually being serious, but his contention is that no one under 25 cares or has heard about Bambi or Mickey Mouse. Is that?
I think
Mickey Mouse
people under 25
Bambi
have
for
heard
sure.
of Mickey Mouse.
Well, do you think
Bambi's
that
out.
SpongeBob is more famous than Mickey Mouse and Bambi?
I think we'll start with this
definitely
conversation.
Bambi. Kill Bambi.
Bambi, yeah. Kill Bambi, a double tap.
Kill Bambi just
No,
like they
Bambi
killed
was
Bambi's
never killed
mom.
for the
They killed
record.
the mom,
Bambi's
right?
mom was
Oh,
killed.
Bambi's mom
Right.
was killed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Bambi is done, DK. Bambi is over. I think the better question is this. I don't think anyone else is even in that third tier with SpongeBob and Mickey Mouse. I don't think anyone else, like that's the tier. The Mickey
You think
Mouse
it's just those two? Those
I
are
would
the
say
two biggest
Bambi
cartoons?
is just as famous.
Who's almost as famous, DK?
Everyone
Bambi
knows
as
who
Mickey
Bambi
Mouse?
is.
No.
As Mickey Mouse?
It's gone away. Bambi is not, there's no way
Yeah,
Bambi
Bambi
is in
is
this
just as
conversation.
famous as fucking SpongeBob.
You're
Not right
dude,
now.
SpongeBob has had a Thanksgiving Macy's parade thing for 20 years. Like SpongeBob is worth like $5 billion. The other one's like Hello Kitty, honestly, is right there. Hello Kitty's worth like, the brand is like worth billions of dollars.
What's the most famous Disney movie of all time?
It's not Bambi.
Cartoon, like animated movie?
Just the
Probably
most famous
Lion
movie.
King.
Lion King, Toy Story.
Yeah. Dude, I'm
still
sorry.
think it's Bambi. No, I'm not saying, Heifetz, you're young. This is what you would say. I'm disagreeing. I think it's Bambi is way more famous worldwide.
But you said your friend said under 25.
He stipulated, but I'm asking a different question. I'm asking who's more famous, Bambi or SpongeBob SquarePants? And I think Bambi is more famous.
I think SpongeBob, because I think that SpongeBob now has had 25 years.
Do you think anyone over like 50 knows who fucking SpongeBob is?
Yes.
Yes, because their kids
They've all
watched
kids.
it.
Yeah.
DK, we watched it when we were 5.
My parents,
my parents
I
do
think
know
if
who
I had to-
SpongeBob is.
I think if I asked my dad over the phone,
Everyone knows who
SpongeBob
Bambi is, though. Come on.
I think my dad would think about it for longer to identify Bambi in his head than SpongeBob. He'd be like, Bambi, what is
I
Bambi?
really
Bambi.
doubt that. I really doubt that.
Carlos texted
I
us. He
really
said
doubt that. He doesn't
he
know
said-
who fucking Bambi is.
I'm
But
not saying
I
he
guess
doesn't
here's the
know.
thing,
I'm saying
though.
he could identify SpongeBob quicker in his head than Bambi.
Oh,
I guess here's the one I'd go with. How could Bambi be more famous than Mickey Mouse? I think we have to start there. Like, who?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
Right.
that.
So I think the
didn't say
top
that.
tier, Carlos texted us Pikachu should be this conversation. I also think Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty, I know it isn't a TV show, but the brand of Hello Kitty, what it's worth is crazy. I know that's like a different thing because it's a cartoon drawing more than literally a show. But in terms of just like, do you know it?
I think we
Hello
limit
Kitty
this
is in that.
to characters on screen. Because Hello Kitty.
Carlos texted Pikachu. I think Pikachu is really widely known under a certain. I think Pikachu over a certain age kind of tails off. But SpongeBob is like one of the last huge characters.
Yeah. Do we think Bugs Bunny's anywhere around there or no?
I think he's
the
tier
number
down.
one Bugs Bunny fan in the world. He's not as famous as SpongeBob because he died.
You're the
Looney Tunes
number
died
one
out.
Bugs Bunny fan in the world?
Yeah, I love him. I love Bugs Bunny.
Is that right?
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Yeah,
No.
I love Bugs Bunny.
Wait, I didn't know that. I feel like we just discovered. I love when we find something new out about one another.
I love Looney Tunes.
What about Snoopy? We got to throw Snoopy in here
I
because
love
Heifetz
Snoopy.
actually
No,
fucking
but-
loves Snoopy.
I love Snoopy. Dude, I remember being in 12th grade on the bus in high school, and the first and second graders didn't know who Looney Tunes were. They didn't know who Bugs Bunny was. And like that was like a long time ago. Like that had already happened.
How do we get the stats on this? Like, how do we figure out actually
I
who's
know
right?
how.
Like
Well-
who's the most famous cartoon between Bugs Bunny, Snoopy,
Mickey Mouse,
SpongeBob, and Bambi?
Well, we can do a poll. I know that's not exactly the
Oh,
perfect
that's super
representation
scientific. Yeah.
because it's people who are probably like around 30 years old or under
Yeah.
40 most of the time. But I still want to do it. We have to do that poll.
Yeah.
Who's more
I think
famous?
I think the recall on who's Bambi is instantaneous for anyone who's over 30 years old. Instantaneous. Everyone knows exactly who
I've never
Bambi
seen the
is.
movie. I never saw it.
That fucking fits perfectly.
I just,
That's
to be
I've never
honest,
seen
DK, I don't think there's enough Bambi content out there to have spread. Like SpongeBob is ubiquitous. He's fucking everywhere. He's been around since the 90s.
And the other thing is,
I think
SpongeBob's
the thing
memes are
is like
everywhere.
everyone who's over 30 years old or maybe 35, whatever it is, grew up watching Bambi. Like
I
it's
saw Bambi.
It's the cartoon. Calvin, we showed Calvin Bambi like for like 2 years. Like that was like the one thing we wanted to watch with them.
Was there even a sequel?
Yeah, there's a Bambi 2. It's terrible.
The Russo brothers directed it. It sucked.
It cost
Spent $300 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's really. I googled Bambi. What year it came out? It said 1942.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think for boomers and
I did
Gen
not
X
realize it came out that early.
and like elder millennials, it came out right after World War II. Yeah, and it's like
Wait, that's the one we're talking about? Like it's not. It's the same one.
it is. I would contend it's like the most classic cartoon of all time.
that might be true, but that doesn't
That's
mean
probably
it's
true.
right now he's the most famous.
Maybe I don't know. I guess there's like probably a
I don't
small
know.
difference between that, but like it's like who's the most famous person in the world? Like Michael
Dude,
Jordan,
Shipwreck
Michael
Kelly was-
Jackson.
Shipwreck Kelly was hunting Nazis in Argentina when Bambi came out.
What
I
year
didn't
did
know
Bambi
that.
come out?
42.
1942.
Middle of the
42
war.
came out before the war, or before the U.S. Whenever the U.S. got in. What was it? 41 or 42? 42.
You know what's so funny? Oh no, this is never mind. This is inflation
41,
adjusted.
right? Was Pearl Harbor 41?
Pearl Harbor. Yeah, we've had this discussion already.
December
now I can't,
10.
Now I'm
No,
like
December 8, 41? right?
7.
December 7th, 41? I
11th.
think? Fuck. December 8th. I'm going to go with 8th.
41. It's 8. It's 7.
Seventh.
December 7th, 41.
Ah!
So it came out, right during the war.
You guys, Disney is developing a live action Bambi coming out in 2025. We have to go now.
Yeah, we should do that. Get it on Bambi.
I'm sorry. We have to go to that.
I just think my point is like, if someone says the word Bambi, the recall on who that is instantaneous for anyone who's over 34 years old, whatever it is.
That's fair. I didn't realize it was that old, to be honest.
The fact that you've never seen it is wild to me.
I know. I mean, to be honest, though, it's like I saw it when I was, I don't know how old, probably Calvin's age. It's not like I remember the scene.
I guess it's you'd group it into like the all-time classics of like it's like Bambi, Cinderella, Snow White, like all those
the fairy tales.
people already immediately know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. I would not know how to measure this though, because there's so many ways to like define fame. Who's famous?
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if you can help us settle or add context to this conversation.
Should we just toss in Minions? Feel like they're number one.
What about Get Out? What about Danny DeVito and Get Out?
I think like pure numbers, there's way more people in the world now than there used to be. So like you guys probably end up being right on this. But
Also, wait, did I just say Get Out instead of Inside Out?
Baby.
You did. I was like, what is he talking about?
I meant Danny.
Wait, Danny
Inside
DeVito
Out.
in Inside Out. Who is he in Inside Out?
Isn't he the anger?
No, that's
Lewis Black.
Lewis Black. You're all over the place.
I'm a mess.
what? This is like a glimpse into Heifetz's
I was like,
mind.
Danny DeVito and Get Out?
Fuck, I'm become my
Did I
father.
fall asleep during that scene? Also, was he a cartoon?
Danny DeVito and Get Out. You mean Lewis Black and Inside Out?
My God, you're already 60 years old.
But I still haven't seen Bambi.
Oh, God.
You should watch
my
Bambi.
God.
It's good.
I hit my head a lot when I was hunting spies in Argentina. All right. Goodbye, everyone.